about a middle school media specialist. All right.
Okay, yeah, I did go through them and like, put answers into all of them just in case.
Okay, great. All right. So can you tell me your role and at what school you're at?
I am the media specialist at Pine Hill Middle School in Richmond County.
And how long have you been in this position?
This is my 10th year.
Okay. Have you worked at the same school for 10 years as a media
Yes,
specialist? Okay,
yes.
great. So prior to becoming a school library media specialist, what did you do?
Well, I taught high school language arts, and then I was off and on home with my children
Okay.
till I got this job. So,
Okay. What inspired you to pursue a degree in school library media?
well, I wanted to still work in the school system, but not be in a regular content area classroom anymore.
Right, I completely
So that,
understand.
and I mean, I love to read. I love books. I love, helping people read, helping the kids become more interested in reading
Okay. Where'd you receive your degree from, your school library?
at Georgia Southern.
Okay. I'm at that school as well. So at that time, was it online or did you have to go?
It was. They had just, I
Okay.
think I might have been like the first group that was completely online. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was quite an adjustment. I'd never done online before. So,
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that they've had this program that long.
yeah,
Um, so I'm sure compared to what I'm doing now, it's changed a lot.
I'm sure it has.
Is there any
Technology changes
Yeah, that's
so
true.
fast. Yeah.
Is is there anything that you did not receive in your program that you wish had been included at that time?
I've thought about this. I really can't think of anything except that, well, and they may not have known. I guess it depends on the district and what, positions they have in place, that I would be spending so much time basically like repairing technology, computers and so forth.
Yeah.
But overall, it was really, well rounded. I thought, I think I learned a lot of different, I mean, all kinds of different, we used all different kinds of technologies at the time now, which I'm sure most of, or a lot of those are probably obsolete now.
Okay. Do you remember any of them that y'all learned?
Well, like we used Weebly to set up like a professional portfolio. And within that, there were, oh gosh, I don't remember necessarily what all technologies I used, but I know I had to create, I think it was called a Pathfinder. I
Okay.
had to do that with another teacher at another school, and it was, with links to different sites and to guide students through like a process of research and so forth. We used, I don't know what it was. We had to do a video, and there was a group of like four of us that had to produce a video, and we had to do storyboards and all those kinds of things. I don't remember specifically
Oh,
what
it's okay.
like 2.0 tools we used.
Yeah, I was just comparing. So based on your response, it's still very similar to
Okay.
yeah. Because we do have to do a portfolio, and then one of the things is teach an instructional technology lesson to the teachers, as well as work with a group of kids focused on like a reading lesson, and we have to incorporate a 2.0 tool in it as well.
Yeah.
Um, what or do you belong to any professional organizations?
GLMA,
Okay.
Georgia Library Media Association. Yeah.
Um, so you definitely would recommend to become a part of that.
Yeah, they have good pointers. They send out a newsletter. If you can go to the Summer Institute, that is really, really worthwhile. They have lots of good speakers and presenters, and lots of good information. Now, I went one time, but then, of course, then COVID hit, and then last year I
Okay.
didn't go because I always, when they have, if they offer positions for media specialists for summer school, I always try to work those. And unfortunately, their past couple of years they've been during the same time, but those are really good.
Okay. Um, how do you, and this has to do with your collection. How do you determine the collection needs of your library?
Okay, the number one thing I would say is the collection analysis that you do through Tidal Wave.
Okay.
You look at that, and tells you not only how many items you have in your collection, but if there are shortages in certain categories, if they are outdated. You can look at like interest level reading and interest level, as well as Lexile, you know, what books you have in each range or whatever of that. If you, I don't know if I said this already, if you don't have enough materials and so forth, that to me is the number one
Okay.
place to look. And then I also look at the curriculum, and I go through and look at keywords in the curriculum, and then I use those to, like in my search when I'm searching for books, and of course you have to look at reviews for the books. I also get suggestions. I take requests from teachers and students.
Mm-hmm.
I guess those are the main things that I consider,
Okay.
you know, for materials.
And this kind of goes to, well, hold on. What role do you see the school librarian and the school library playing in the overall reading program of the school?
The library and the librarian are, I mean, we say like literacy is everything. And we are the, I guess, the primary place and person to support literacy in the school. Of course, we're teaching lessons and so forth, which I don't get a lot of that. You know, I've talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, even just circulating books, getting kids reading books is so important. And then any other thing that we have to do that supports the, like the school improvement plan, the literacy goal portion of our school improvement plan.
Okay. How do you encourage struggling readers?
To me, the most important thing is to find something that even the struggling readers, the lowest readers, find something that they're interested in. If they're, you know, I ask them, well, what do you like to do? Oh, nothing. You know, what do you do when you're not at school? What do you do at home? Well, they might play video games, or they, whatever. And I pretty much, I say, you know, I can always find something that interests them. And it might be, you know, graphic novels are really popular. I know some teachers aren't really big on those. I don't particularly like reading them myself.
Mm-hmm.
However, especially the struggling readers, you know, they look at not only the words, but they're looking at those pictures, the graphics. And so they kind of figure out what's going on. And I think that really helps them. Some of the high-low books are also good for them. That's the main thing. And then I also, like every month, I have a competition. Doesn't matter what reading level the kids are on. Whoever checks out or reads the most books for the month, they get I'm having an announcement made, and they are recognized, and they get a certificate, and they get to choose a piece of candy and a bookmark. Just various things like that. Now, I used to have a program I started when I was part of this University of System, the University of Georgia. There was a grant several years ago, and I had what was called, I set up Panther Readers. It's like a reading apprentice program, and parents came in and they worked, you know, kind of partner read with some of the kids. And that was really effective, but, you know, that's kind of fallen by the wayside.
So about that program, so you would have parents to volunteer and they would do peer reading with the reluctant readers?
Well, yeah, and the ones that were really struggling readers,
Uh-huh.
we had the professor from Georgia came in, and she actually led a little workshop and showed how to do it. Like, you might read a paragraph and ask the student questions about that, and then have them read,
Mm-hmm.
help them if, you know, if there were some words that, I mean, we also, even though some things might have been a little advanced, but then we let them choose the book they wanted to read. Ask them some questions about not only what they've read, but, you know, like, well, what do you think is going to happen next? Or what do you think might, so and so might think about this? And that was just the interest. They were more interested, and it also did help their, you know, their reading skills.
Do you feel like you may try to bring that back?
I I might, the thing is the way that our schedule is now,
Mm-hmm.
they are, the students, it's just, it's like every minute of the day is programmed for something.
Right.
Um, and it's also, we don't have great parent participation here. It's really dropped off over the years. Um, and so we don't have, I mean, I guess I could, okay, to answer your question, I might could try to bring that back, but right
Mhm.
now I don't think we have the parent participation and the room in the schedule.
Oh,
So,
okay. I think that's a good idea. Like when you were telling me that, I was trying to think, well, how can we get I don't think we have that many parental involvement, but we do have some volunteers and I could see maybe collaborating with our REP teacher
mhm.
because those kids are have been identified as our struggling readers
Mm.
um, and possibly working with him so that pulling that load off of him so we can other
Yeah, and it
parents
was
can
really
help
good
out.
because the volunteer would work with the same students, each week, once or twice a week, or
Hmm.
I think we try to do it twice a week. And so they kind of, a lot of them kind of built a rapport with
Right.
that adult, and and vice versa. So it was more than just the reading. It kind of gave them a sense of, I guess, kind of like friendship as well. Somebody was showing some interest in them.
Yeah. Let's see. What are some of the ways that the school library media specialist can promote and encourage professional reading among the faculty?
Okay.
Mhm,
Well, I mean, obviously, I issue to the faculty the professional materials that the county sends to us.
mhm,
And then I guess modeling. I'm the lead mentor at school. I got pulled into that position, I guess you'd call it. Um, I guess maybe like in October or so. And we got some books to go along with that, Teach Like a Champion field guide. And so the other mentors in the school also have that book. And I, might say something every now and then about the fact that something we're talking about, whatever technique in these meetings that we have, is in this particular book. So, and encourage them to read that. And I mean, I don't like research professional
mhm.
materials to buy and promote. So,
Do y'all have a book club amongst the faculty or anything?
no.
No, okay. Because I find here that because the teachers have so much work to do, nobody will probably want to participate. There might be a few, but it's not that many who will want to
Yeah, and I tried a
participate.
book club with the students. I don't know how many years ago, way before COVID, when we used to have clubs. The students,
Mhm.
like once a month, would have a club that they went to, and it wasn't very successful.
Okay. Um, as far as professional development, and instructional technology, do you ever get to lead any of those professional learnings?
It's not, it's really rare. I used to do more of that. It depends on kind of the administration.
Mhm.
Some administrations want me to do more. I used to do, like at the beginning of the year, um, have sessions where I would walk the new teachers, help them set up their web pages and things like that, and then how to do different things in Office 365. And well, we don't have AR anymore, but
Mhm.
we used to, and kind of, showing them how to do some of those kinds of things. Um, like you said a while back, you were doing a Mayan thing. You were doing
Oh,
some,
AR. I was doing
yeah.
AR.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. So I do some of that, but it's not on a regular basis anymore.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry, this writing's really
That's okay.
small. I have to enlarge it. How do you ensure your own continued professional growth?
Just about every year, one of my professional learning goals is to participate in at least some minimum number of hours of professional learning. And usually I put in 20. This year, I think I put in 15 because
Mhm.
last year there wasn't as much available that I was able to do. But I've already way exceeded that. And I just try to get a variety of things that that are of interest to me, whether it be technology something or, specific to the media center or, I don't know, just a variety of things that pertain to my job.
Do you have like a particular like website that you go to where you find the different professional learnings? Because I know like what the district has currently offered has been kind of limited.
Mhm.
But
No, I don't have a specific website. Sometimes oh golly, let me think what it's called. Might be School Library Journal, I think, is one that I've done. I don't know if I've done one of those this year, but they have had some really good ones in the past. And I've participated in some of those. CSRA RESA
mhm,
has some good professional learning. There are some things in the Canvas platform
okay,
that's where I've done some of the courses that pertain to, like, for example, the swivels
mhm,
and I think it's called a Wacom tablet. We got in all this technology last year, and I did a number of those courses, and I sent information out to teachers, and I have not had a single teacher come and get any of that stuff to use. But anyway, those are all different, you know,
right.
places to find professional learning.
Okay, great. Let's see. What steps do you feel that a school librarian can take to encourage reluctant teachers to utilize the library?
That is a real challenge. I mean, I offer to, I always tell them, in pre-planning, when we have faculty meetings, I'm here to help you. Let's collaborate on lessons. I'm glad whatever I can do to help you find resources. Um, I've even gone so far as to look at their curriculum, and so I kind of know what lessons that might be coming up for them, and send
Mhm,
them, I don't know, do a little research and find some resources that might support that, send that to them. It's just, it's really difficult to get them to come in. They're so swamped. They have so much in their curriculum, and most of them, and we have so many new teachers this year. The ones in
mhm,
the past we did have kind of a relationship where I would work with them on things and they would bring their classes in. It's just not happening anymore.
right.
Um, but I just keep offering, and I've been told so many times that if you can get one on board, and then you get, more will find out about it, and they will want you to help them with things. But this year I have not had any
Mhm,
success with that, to be honest.
okay. So basically trying to build the relationship with the teachers and then trying to at least convince one and then
Hmm.
word of mouth will probably bring the rest of
Well, yeah.
the
And that
mhm.
has worked in the past, but it's not happening right now.
Do you find that with the novice teachers, it's because they don't really know the benefits of our job as media specialists?
That's probably part of it, yes. And everything is
Mm,
so new to them, and I think they feel so overwhelmed. In fact, I
mhm.
hear that word a lot. They feel overwhelmed by everything that is expected of them. And, let's face it, it's hard.
Yeah, it's
There's
hard.
just so much that they have to do, and so much they have to be responsible for, you know.
Right. Right. Especially when you've come into this profession and you don't have the pedagogy. So you're trying to
Exactly. Yeah, because
and
there's
then
so
you
many of
have
them that are waiver teachers and so
yeah.
forth, and they just don't have that background.
Yeah, and then you got to learn the content too.
Mhm.
This is a question about COVID. How has COVID impacted the day-to-day operations of your media center?
Well, when COVID hit, I don't know if you were in Richmond County then when we
I
all
was.
went out that March. When we came back, my plan was, um, and what I did was I went around to every homeroom class. I kind of rotated, and I showed all the students how to go into Destiny, look for their books, look them up by Lexile, because some of the teachers wanted them to do it that way. Put a book on hold,
Mhm,
and then I would check them out, take them to the classes, I delivered them to those rooms. And then when it was time for them to turn in, I had a cart right outside the media center doors, and they would turn them in there, and I would check them in and let them sit for a few days, to quarantine.
Right.
Now that we're back, I'm back on regular procedures. Everything is operating the way it did before, but circulation has not caught back up to what it was before.
Okay.
It's still lower than it was.
So do you find that it being that are more kids using the ebooks now? No, they're not.
No, they
Oh.
during the pandemic, and that was another thing that I pointed out to them when I would go around to the classes, all the ebooks that we had access to, and they were utilizing those. Most of them still want the actual physical book, but I'm the same way.
Okay.
And now this year, last year, some months January, I don't think I had a single ebook checked out. There are a few, usually most months, but no, not very many.
Okay. What are some ways that you're able to generate funding when school or district budget runs out?
We've actually been pretty well funded, especially the last few years. After COVID, especially, they even gave us extra money to replace a lot of the books that weren't returned. Now, years ago, I did write letters to a couple of different organizations, International Paper back in the day, they were printing newsprint, these huge rolls. And I got one of those donated, and the teachers' kids used it for all kinds of stuff. It lasted for years. And I actually called earlier this year to see about getting another roll, but they don't even make that anymore, And I wrote a couple of, I don't know, I wouldn't say it was actually grants, but basically they were like applications, request letters to companies. This was before we had any laptop carts or anything. And one company donated money to buy a couple of laptops. But really, I don't do much of that anymore. I have a book fair every year, and that's about it.
How does the book fair, are you successful at the middle school level?
A lot of the kids really like it. Sadly, more so than the books, they like all that other stuff, the pens and the doodads or whatever. And I have never, they've raised the, I guess the minimum that you have to sell now to actually get the proceeds in cash. So we never make enough to do that. I get everything in Scholastic dollars, but that allows me to buy some things. I buy some books through them, or a few years ago, I bought a couple beanbag chairs, those kinds of things, but I don't actually get the cash that I can spend on anything anywhere else.
Oh, okay. Are you seen as a teacher, administrator, instructional technology specialist, or a combination of all three at your school?
I think that I'm most often seen as I don't think, even though I'm a teacher and I'm a certified teacher and I was before this, I don't think that most of the faculty sees me as that. I think they see me as a person for technology and for if they need help with finding some kind of resources.
Okay.
I think I'm considered kind of more like support staff by most people, probably.
Okay. By any chance, do you know, because I'm kind of curious about what would a media specialist look like as if they were viewed as an administrator?
Oh, goodness. I might have better luck with, and this isn't a problem, but with just a few teachers. Some teachers are really irresponsible with the technology, with the devices. They don't follow the procedures. They don't hold the students accountable. So I might have better success with that if I were considered an administrator.
What do you typically do for that? Just find them, or?
Well, because we were having such a problem first semester with so many students who actually had devices checked out, and they wouldn't bring theirs to school. They got
Mm.
in the habit of, oh, I'll just leave it at home. And they would come in here, they would come in the media center and borrow a laptop from me for the day. But it got to the point where there were so many kids doing that, and students were doing it. The same students were doing it over and over and over and over and over. It was ridiculous. So second semester, we kind of implemented a new policy where if they had one checked out to them and they left it at home, they could check one out from me for the day one time. And then after that, if they had to have access to a computer for a test or whatever, they brought a pass in from their teacher and they had to use one of the desktops. And they're slower. And so that is amazing how that has really cut down on that. But even the students who are day users, now some of them, they're not keeping up with their devices, but some of them, there's a couple of homeroom teachers that they just let anybody take those devices out of the cart. And so we don't know where they are, but even so, if that student borrows, they can borrow it one time and then they have to use a desktop. So that's how we handle that. Now with the teacher, for example, one teacher back before, I guess it was before we were doing the last iReady, the mid-year, she came in and borrowed, I think, like 8 laptops. And I think 4 of them are still out. She never returned them. And so the next time when she came to ask me for them, I hated to do it, but she asked me, if, can I borrow? And I said, nope, I'm sorry. Because you didn't bring back the ones you did, she goes, oh, I didn't. But
Right.
so and then I doubt that administration will want me to find them.
Right.
But I do, email the IT help desk and have them lock devices. And then sometimes that's what it takes to get them turned back in because they can't be used. However, a lot of them still don't show up. I don't know where they
are. Let's see. And this is because I'm assuming you don't have an aide.
No.
Okay.
I used to, but really and because there's so few collaborative lessons going on in the media center now, it's not as big of an issue. When I had those, I could still manage most of the time. I might be teaching something and then I walk over here and check out a book real quick or whatever. I find that the very beginning of the year and the very end of the year is when I really, really need help.
Right.
With the textbooks, and of course now it's the devices and textbooks and all that combined. That's when I really need the help. But
so why do you think, I know like at all of our meetings they keep bringing that up, because why is it such an issue for some of the media specialists? Because that's what I find too. Even though this is my first year, I'm like, I really don't, because I'm not really collaborating with any teachers or whatnot. And if I should be teaching a class and I can't check out a book, I just tell the student could they return in a few, and I'll check out the book to them. But I'm not finding that I need as much help as other media specialists. I know I'm not an elementary, and they probably would need.
They probably,
yeah.
They probably need more. But then there may be, well, like you said, especially the elementary, and then I'm sure there are media specialists at middle and high school level that they are doing lots more collaborating. They are teaching a lot more lessons in the media center. That just hasn't been working for me the last couple of years.
Okay.
Really, since COVID is when it hasn't. I think we had like a Socratic seminar in here last year, maybe. And maybe one other thing. There was a social studies teacher. She's not here anymore. She would have them come in and do like a scavenger hunt, and I would set out books that pertain to whatever it was they were studying at the time, and she would bring in other little things and set up. But other than that, we haven't been having it.
And then this is the last question. What advice would you give someone just entering the field of school library media?
I am very, very organized, and I think that is helpful. Try to keep, be organized, keep track of everything, keep really good records. Obviously you have to be flexible, just like any other teacher. Embrace change. Almost before we've learned some of these technologies, they're already obsolete. They bring in things so fast. And just, do everything that you can to, well, they always told us before, the students come first. And even if a teacher is in there wanting something, if there's a child that comes in and they need something, try to address that child, those needs first. So just every stakeholder. I had a custodian that came in a couple weeks ago and she wanted to know if I had any books on, I think it was the Tulsa race rights or something like that. And I looked up and I had 3. So she checked those out. Anybody that needs help, whether it's to find a book or they have questions about something on a website or whatever, just do everything you can to help and support all the stakeholders.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you. Do you ever find, and this is not one of the questions, but I often feel like with us supporting all the different stakeholders, when they do come in, I feel like they want it right now, and I could be in the middle of doing something. How do you deal with that without coming across as being rude?
Well, I guess it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes I might be doing something, I don't know, for a student, and then the data clerk will bring in a parent for something. And I'll just say, if you'll, I'll be with you, as soon as I can or whatever. And I do finish up what I'm doing. Then I apologize, say, okay, what can I do for you? And then some teachers are really impatient and you just have to say, in a friendly or, professional way. Okay, I'm working on something else right now, but I'll help you as soon as I can, or or email me and I'll do whatever. That's the only way that I know how to address situations like that. Now,
Okay.
granted, if it's administration, but I mean, I'm pretty quick to respond to
Right.
everybody, but with administration, I'll, do that, whatever it is, right away.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Do y'all have a morning show at your school by any chance?
No, we used
Okay.
to, and then the last principal kind of took that over. I never did it. When I had an assistant, she did it because she did it with the media specialist that was here before me.
Gotcha.
And but it was kind of getting too crazy, and the kids were playing around on camera, and they were all this stuff, and so the previous administration, he kind of did that himself. He had sort of a script, and the students read the script, the menu for the day and the weather and that kind of thing. But right now we do not.
Okay. Let me stop the recording.